ones. They're delicious.
Champions.
Ooh, baby.
Well, this morning, it's easy to buy and plant trees for your house, but in Colorado, it's not easy to keep them alive.
Yeah, you know, we talk about, boy, as we inch to spring, when can I plant my plants? What about our trees? Dan DeRue is with us live this morning. Dan, oh my gosh, you have your own personal arborist. I'm very impressed. Very few people have their own arborist, Dan.
It's in my contract, and this is Judd. He is a tree man from Davey Tree. Jay, nice to see you. Waking up there, by the way?
Yeah, a little bit. Thanks for having me on, Dan.
Listen, you really have a lot of great information about trees. Davey Tree, of course. Well, actually, it's kind of easy to buy a tree. Well, they're expensive, so if you have the money, it's easy to buy a tree. Not easy to keep them alive, but you guys are putting out a warning, and that's why we have you on this morning, about now's the time to prune them. Like, I mean, Jay, come on, prune trees? What are we to prune now? Now's a very, very important time to prune our trees, and the question is why?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at storm damage in about a month when trees start leafing out. So right now, this last weekend we had some warm days. Buds are starting to open up. It's going to get cold again, they're going to sit, but once it gets warm again, they're going to open up, and then we're going to start seeing leaves when those wet snows come. I mean, all the way to Mother's Day each year, they're just going to slam the trees. So they're just going to be breaking apart all that surface area with the leaves on the trees. Get the snow on there, we're going to have some problems. So thin your trees.
So if we don't thin the trees right now, it could be, well, we do that story every year almost, and I hate that story because it really destroys a lot of trees. So we're talking about, well, how does the snow, I mean, well, are there any particular trees that are more susceptible than other trees?
Yeah, so the ash trees seem to leaf out first. Maple trees, we see a lot of storm damage. Locust trees, smaller leaves, leaf out late. We don't see as much. Yeah. When you go through the parks, I mean, you'll see the ash trees are pretty much hammered after these wet snows in the spring.
Yeah, there's nothing more frustrating than it's starting to bud, the leaves are starting to grow, you're going, yay, this tree's going to be amazing, and then bam, we get hit with some snow. And then once that happens, it also affects the colors of the trees too, right?
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that you don't have a lot of control over is, we were talking about the buds are coming out because it's warm and then it gets cold again. That's when we start seeing bud damage. When all the leaves start coming out on the rest of the trees, you might notice that your tree doesn't have any leaves coming out because those hardened buds that were ready for winter opened up because of those warm days, and then they didn't close completely. You get that cold air, that snow, that ice on them, and they just completely get damaged and die off.
And there's absolutely nothing we can do about that.
Not much you can do about that, unfortunately.
Oh, I'll tell you something we can do. Sign a petition to change this spring forward daylight savings time thing, because it's pitch black right now. So it's going to be a little while before we can get up into a tree. When I say we get up in the tree, I mean you get up in the tree and start trimming, right?
Yep, every time.
Every time. My own personal tree man, Judd from Davey Tree. Guys, toss it back to you.
All right, Dan, with his own personal arborist. And as the sun comes up, we'll actually see, I think Dan is actually going to plant, is it going to be an ash, a spruce, an aspen? What you got on tap today, Danny?
It's going to be a Bruce.
Oh, the lesser-known Bruce.
Bruce.
Yeah. Have you let Bruce know? Because he might have...
Combination of spruce and something else.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello, Bruce.
He's got his gloves on.
We'll check in with you later.
Fish all friends.
Coming up into your health this morning, local doctors sending a new warning to parents. If your kids have headphones on all the time, here's a warning that you'll want to listen up to.
Yeah, they might be losing their hearing. And in your business...